Look here. Sometimes you're going to have to guard your children not only from the outside world, but from family, and maybe even from your lady, the child's mother. You heard me. What's good, y'all? Y'all know what it is. Dr. T. Hasan Johnson here with the Onyx Report, Black Masculinist news for the day. Hope you're well. Yeah, this is a sad one, but with a weird twist at the end. Strange. This is a piece you can find on theadvocate.com, dated September 29th, 2021, entitled Baton Rouge Toddler Died After Mom Punched Her Torso, Causing Her Head to Hit, police say. That's the title, right? It reads, a Baton Rouge mother was accused of murder after police say she punched her toddler in the torso for playing with her contact lenses, causing her to hit her head and die hours later, before the family reported her missing. Right? Anaya Cardwell, 24, and her partner, Philip Gardner, 30, were both booked on counts of second-degree murder Wednesday in the death of 2-year-old Nevaeh Allen. Gardner, who identified himself, well, I'm sorry, this shit is just, it's weird. But one thing I'm noticing, all three got different last names. What the hell is going on? So I understand Philip Gardner, is probably not the child's father, as it only reads her partner. Interesting. Anyway, so it reads, Gardner, who identified himself to investigators as the girl's stepfather, there we go, faces a second-degree murder count because police say he failed to help the girl after she complained about suffering from stomach pain, and that the Nevaeh, they worded that weird, and that Nevaeh may still have been alive when he stuffed her into a suitcase before disposing of her body in a remote forest in Mississippi. God damn. See, I try to skim through just enough to know that the subject is worthy of a video, but I don't want to read through it because I want to preserve my reaction. But I didn't actually know that. That he stuffed her body into a suitcase before disposing of her in a remote forest in Mississippi. Gardner had already been jailed for allegedly disposing of the child's body. Over the last several days since we first received the call, it was our highest priority to bring Nevaeh home, Baton Rouge Police Chief Murphy Paul said Wednesday in announcing the arrests. It saddens me to discuss the fact that this beautiful, innocent angel is no longer with us. Graphic details about the case emerged in affidavits for Cardwell and Gardner's arrest released late Wednesday. Police say Gardner was caring for Nevaeh and 2 other young children aged 3 years and 11 months Friday morning at their apartment on West LaBelle Avenue while Cardwell was in the bathroom preparing to go to work. The warrant says that's when Nevaeh picked up her mother's contact lenses. Angered, Cardwell allegedly punched her daughter in the torso with a closed fist, police say, causing Nevaeh to fall and hit her head on a cabinet. Damn. Look, if you don't got the temperament for kids, you shouldn't be having them. It's in a child's nature to pick up stuff. It just is what it is. This kind of reaction, wow. Cardwell then forcibly grabbed Nevaeh and took her to another room, the warrant continues. Gardner told police he heard what sounded like 2 adults fighting in the next room. When Cardwell and her daughter emerged, Gardner said Nevaeh was crying and had a large bruise on her forehead. Gardner told investigators that he then drove Cardwell to work and that when he returned home, Nevaeh refused to eat and complained about stomach pain. Then, he said, the girl laid down on the couch where Gardner said he later found her unresponsive. Told police he tried to resuscitate her, and when that didn't work, he admitted to getting rid of the body. According to the affidavit for his arrest, Gardner stuffed the girl into a small suitcase and loaded it into his car, and taking off to Mississippi with his 3-year-old and 11-month-old in tow. Police say he told them he left his cell phone at home to avoid being tracked. When he got to, this is a different damn article. They added to this since I last saw it. This is new. Anyway, When he got to a remote area around Pearlington, Mississippi, police say he placed Nevaeh's body into a makeshift grave deep in the woods. Jesus. Gardner disposed of the suitcase in the woods, the affidavit goes on to say, and disposed of the victim's clothing in a trash can. Then he drove home and filed a false missing persons report, police say. Initially, he told police he woke up from a nap to find Nevaeh missing. That story changed during interrogation, police say. Police say Gardner could not explain why he chose not to contact authorities except that he wanted to protect the girl's mother. Police say Gardner knew of previous incidents when Cardwell had been abusive with Nevaeh. See, I posted this article on Facebook, and although I perused most of it, I actually cited portions of it, posted it on Facebook for people to read. And again, sometimes I do that just to kind of, decide if I want to actually do a video on it. Right. The article was much shorter. It ended at the suggestion that he did something with the body, but there was nowhere near this much detail. So they added to this. But I did, only peruse it because I wanted to save my entire reaction. But no, they definitely added to this. This is ridiculous. This dude looks like a concuserf. Looks like he was just, he's so into this that he calls himself burying daughter's remains, trying to hide the cause of her death to protect the mother. And I actually said this. I actually said it before they expanded this article with more detail. And it's still on Facebook, on my Facebook page, the exact way I left it. I said at the end, when I quoted sections of the article, I said, my suspicion is that he called himself doing this to protect the mother. I bet money. That's what I said, that's what I suspect it is. And sure enough, that's the first thing he finally says after interrogation. Anyway, police say Gardner knew of previous incidents when Cardwell had been abusive with Nevaeh. FBI agents interviewed Gardner's children, who also described a history of verbal and physical abuse by Cardwell. Mind you, Cardwell's the mother. According to the affidavit, police say the children gave detailed accounts of Cardwell grabbing Nevaeh by the head and yelling at her. The children told police that Nevaeh's mom struck her on the face because the girl played with her contact lenses, authorities say. 2 days later, police found Nevaeh's body in the Mississippi woods. An autopsy showed several bruises on the girl's face and head, swelling to the brain, and marks on her face consistent with that of a handprint. The girl's thighs and buttocks were covered in bruises. The coroner reportedly also observed injuries on the girl's abdominal wall, which were consistent with being punched in the abdomen. God damn it. Wow. After the autopsy, police said a forensic pathologist told them it cannot be ruled out that the victim was still alive at the time that Gardner placed her in a suitcase and suffocated her to death prior to succumbing to the other injuries. See, in the initial article, they said she was unresponsive and then she died and then he hit her. Now they're saying she was unresponsive but might have still been alive when he decided to dispose of this little girl. Let's see. In addition to the second-degree murder allegation, Cardwell was booked on a count of perpetration of second-degree cruelty to juveniles. The affidavit explains that Gardner accused of second-degree murder too. I guess they meant to say Gardner was accused of second-degree murder too, because all persons concerned in the commission of a crime are principals, whether present or absent, and whether they directly commit the act constituting the offense, aid and abet in its commission, or directly or indirectly counsel or procure another to commit the crime are principals. By that standard, the affidavit states Gardner was a principal to this crime. Cardwell gave an interview to WAFB TV on Friday, not long after the family reported Nevaeh missing and a massive law enforcement search was ramping up. She said, "I don't know what could have happened. I don't know what went wrong," she says tearfully. See, we talked about the use and manipulation of these tears. When we talk about white women using these tears, I talk about it as a political act, right? But nobody talks about black women in these tears. And basically part of what we're looking at here is, the traditional manipulation of femininity to avoid accountability. But this is just an entirely new level of it. She says, "I wish I would have stayed home from work. I don't know. That's all I know." She said she last saw Nevaeh that morning before going to work, when she brought the child to the corner store and got her some snacks and apple juice. Motherfucker. Sorry. That's the last time I seen my baby, she said, sobbing into the camera. When I went to work, she had on her yellow dress with the pineapples on it, and she should have still had on that dress. I'm sorry. Wow. That's just... One of the things I noticed, this is probably the fifth time this last 3 months reporting on these cases. None of them ever mentioned the biological father. And one of the first things that tends to happen when I report these issues on, especially on Facebook, I tend to get women that come in and well, actually, it's not even for this, it's women and men. Yeah. For this kind of situation, I get women and men that come in and blame the biological father. And one of the things I say he's not even mentioned in the story, but I bet you money somebody's going to blame the biological father. And I keep telling people, you don't even know if this dude is alive, for one. I'm saying that as a widower. You don't even know if this dude is alive. For two, you don't know he was ever told he had a child. For three, you also don't know if she ran him out the house, particularly using using family court as a proxy. You have no idea what the circumstances were. And many of the men that report are men who have been divorced or have broken up with a baby mama at some point. So don't act like y'all don't know how this can go, how you can be ran out of your house or a house with your child behind what she's able to levy against you. So there's all kinds of circumstances that could be at play. Hell, she could have just moved to a different area and he not have immediate connection with her. For all we know, he could actually be a fairly involved father and just wasn't included in this report. But that's part of what I'm getting at too. How often these reports leave out biological father. I've seen this a lot lately. Seen it a lot. But this is particularly sad. This is particularly sad. This child is... I mean, once you've raised, especially, I mean, it's not to say that it's excusable at any moment, but once you raise a child, I mean, if you don't have a new level of just appreciation for children, I didn't spend a lot of time around children until I had one. So there was a bit of a disconnect there. And I would have, I definitely would have felt bad in connection to reading this story, but nowhere near as much as after having raised a child. When you know how vulnerable a toddler is, and yet at the same time, how apt they are to pick up stuff and play with stuff. If you don't have the temperament to be around a child to the degree that you might hit a child hard enough to cause death, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm a lot more discombobulated than I expected. Usually I can read these and respond, but I gotta admit, there's something about this one that just broke my heart. Not even related to this idiot who calls himself trying to protect his woman, the woman that had killed this child. And it ain't even his child. Is that how deep into servitude we get? Really? Your first thought upon seeing this child's lifeless body is to hide her to protect your girl. And this ain't even your child. And there's no clear indication that the other two children were his. I don't know. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. But this is what I was saying at the beginning of the video, though. If you are a caretaker, let alone a father, whichever you consider yourself, whichever you are in the actual situation, you might have to prepare yourself to protect your children, even from your co-parent, biological mother included. You might have to be on guard enough to protect your children from their mother in a particular circumstance. And we're at a point where it is something to consider, especially, again, y'all have seen me read case after case after case after case, especially in this last year. We've talked about everything from what BGS calls, pandemic or COVID breakups to, child murders by mothers, child abandonment, right? We talked about them, mothers leaving their kids at gas stations, throwing them in rivers and lakes. I mean, there's been all kinds of occurrences. I mean, of course, one of the last ones I read about was the mother who killed her son because she couldn't find one of her little SD cards, right? She could not find an SD card and killed her son. There's been a number of these cases, and my response has been, I think a lot of this is inspired by the stress brought on by the environment. People are cracking under the pressure, under the fear, under the stress. They're cracking. And I do believe, some of these people may have had issues beforehand. Pressure never helps. And you're talking about people who are already having issues. And I'm not saying none of that to excuse her. I'm actually saying that to let people know that if you have a partner that has issues and y'all are dealing with the stress of this current environment, keep both eyes open. Because it don't take but a half a second for somebody to hit a child hard enough to kill her. This is some bullshit. That baby did not deserve to die over a goddamn thing. My prayers go out to her. Really. Because there's really not much else I can say other than this is fucking ridiculous. That this child had to die over a momentary tantrum by her mother, and this idiot hides the body in a desire to protect her. The child, the mother. So we didn't got to the point where we act like grown goddamn children trying to protect mommy, even though mommy done killed somebody. This is ridiculous. If you are a man, stand on your own two damn feet. Protect the children in your purview. Hell, protect the children near you. I mean, you may not be able to get involved physically, but if you obviously see another family abusing a child, especially a toddler, you either may need to say something or call somebody. But at the end of the day, regardless of the issues that are going on in our households, y'all please protect these babies, because none of them deserve this bullshit. And this child did not deserve to lose her life over a momentary tantrum and a concuserf serving his master. Damn it.